Celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting, here's Gerald Calente with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Calente, and here are some of today's trends in the news. Well, the market's over 14,000. Happy days are here again, back where it was back in October 2007. And of course, a lot of people are making a lot of money in the market. There's no other place to put your money. So as we mentioned before, the cheap money is driving people into equities because if you put it in the bank, you don't get any return on it. And it's also boosting that leverage buyout biz. So the markets are going up. Gold is down. And I'm surprised that it is, following the G20 meeting in Moscow on this past weekend. Here's the word from CNBC.com. Did the G20 just signal further global easing? And they did. They call it different language. It's all a hoax. They say they're only going to keep their currencies cheap to spur domestic demand. And we know what that is. That is...
Oh, come on now. That ain't even bullshit. That's horseshit.
It's horseshit. Because the cheaper the value of the currency becomes, the cheaper it is to buy the product from another country. So it's not like you're making it only for domestic consumption. It crosses the borders. So basically, from the G20 meeting, the word is bullshit. And they're going to keep lowering interest rates, keep pumping money in, QE3, QE4, QE whatever. And the result, of course, of this is a devaluation of the currency. And to me, the Federal Reserve is it's anathema to America's Constitution and what this country was founded upon. And I'm not saying that only as I'm looking at it. I'm looking at what the Founding Fathers said about having a central bank. And if you want the proof of how you have to work much harder to get much less, and what you have buys so little, I have the proof right here. This magazine was sent to me by a fan, Nancy Carpenter, because I've been talking about how we're going into World War III. As we went back to 1929, we had the crash of 29, then the Great Depression, currency wars, trade wars, World War. And she sent me this magazine because you can see history repeating itself. It was talking the same nonsense back then. But as I'm going through it, I found this wonderful little ad that will show you what the Federal Reserve has done to us and how they've robbed our future and robbed our present and have given it to all their banking buddies. Look at this ad. This is an ad for the Waldorf Astoria. You know that place in New York City. You regulate the temperature yourself in the air-conditioned rooms of the Waldorf Astoria. Remember, this is 1941. Single room from $7, for two from $10. $7. That's like a couple of Happy Meals, man. And you're staying at the Waldorf Astoria, which in the 1940s was a palace, where only the very rich stayed. So now what does a room cost at the Waldorf for a single? About $250. Remember, $7 in 41, $250 now. You think the Federal Reserve is helping this country? We're bringing it into poverty. Hey, the banks are doing good, and so is that 1%. And $7 in the 1940s, I mean, yeah, it was a lot of money for people who didn't have it, but it wasn't that much money. So you can see the way they're devaluing things. But not devaluing for everybody. This is from Bloomberg Businessweek. Facebook gets multi-billion-dollar tax break. It hasn't drawn much attention, but Facebook's first annual earnings report contains an accounting gem, a multi-billion-dollar tax deduction for the cost of executive stock options and share awards. Even though Facebook reported $1.1 billion in pre-tax profits for U.S. operations in 2012, it will probably pay zero federal and state taxes. The game is rigged, and we're the losers. You want to see the proof of the loss? This is from Saturday's toilet paper. Remember what I tell you. They only report news they don't want you to know, that they feel they have to report on Saturdays, the least watched and read news day of the week. Income flat in recovery, but not for 1%. Income rose more than 11% for the top 1% of earners during the economic recovery, but not at all for everybody else. So it wasn't a recovery. That's propaganda. The rich just took more. The greedy Buffetts and the other hedge fund operators and private equity groups just keep stealing the dough. There was a wide gap between the 1% whose earnings rose by 11.2% and the other 99% whose earnings actually declined by 0.4%. Recession has only depressed top income shares temporarily and will not undo any of the dramatic increases in top income shares that has taken place since the 1990s. So there you have it. It's not only there. Majority of working Americans have no retirement savings. The Washington Post reported on Sunday that the recent economic downturn destroyed nearly 40% of America's personal wealth, depleting personal savings and retirement accounts. How much more proof do you need to see what's going on over here?